really hurt some people's feelings. So if you a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now. Okay? How you afraid to drop it down?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Rebel Fitness. I am Carissa. I am here with Shemar, and it has been a really fun couple months doing this podcast. I want to take a quick second to just talk about that before we roll into today's episode. So it is, as we are recording this, it's the end of September, almost the end of September. The theme for today's podcast is about bringing awareness to childhood cancer, because that is the month of September. It's a big thing. So if you're watching, we've got our gold bow here. Shemar is going to talk us through his experience in this realm because he has lived it firsthand. It's something that's near and dear to our hearts. And we're also going to provide a link in the show notes of this one to donate to one of our favorite in-town places who supports awareness. But I want to talk for a second too, just about how amazing the last 3 months have been. It's been almost officially 3 months since we've been running this thing.
That's
and
crazy.
The feedback has been absolutely incredible. The benchmarks that we've hit have been absolutely incredible. We were not even aware. I was not aware of any of these benchmarks, any of the, people were like, how's the podcast doing? I was like, I don't really know.
We're just doing it. We're doing well.
It's good.
Yeah.
We're in here killing it.
Consistency.
We're comfy. We're showing up.
Yeah.
We've got the 1413 crew, who is absolutely amazing. Shout out to them. But we are really, really excited about this, you guys. One of the benchmarks that we kind of talked about was, we feel like most podcasts start and then within, I don't know, what do we say, like a month or two?
Yeah, like 4 to 6 episodes.
They just crash and burn and don't do it anymore. They just realize this wasn't for us. I don't know what episode we're on, but it has, again, been a solid 3 months almost of us doing this. And so we are really excited. And I just want to take a second to thank everybody who is listening, who is watching, and continue to encourage you guys to, give us feedback, download the episodes, share the episodes with somebody that you love. We are really excited about this project and excited to have a space to talk about something that we're very passionate about, obviously, and hitting some really big benchmarks in 90 days. So want to take a second to say a big fat thank you, and thank you for your continued support. And and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shemar, because this is going to be his deal today, giving us all the details about why this month is so important to him. He talked a little bit about it in the first episode, I think it was, the Rebel Lore episode, maybe, about his background, why health and fitness is so important to him, and how it looks different now than it did before. But he's going to get even more into that, which is going to be an incredible story, I know. So without further ado.
Oh, yeah. We'll see what we got. Here we go. But yeah, what's up, y'all? I'm Shemar, as y'all know by this point. And like Carissa was saying, it is September. So this is a cool month, kind of a heavy month for me, but still a good month nonetheless. Like she was saying, it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's also my personal diagnosis month. For the first time I was diagnosed with cancer. And then it's my birthday month. So it's just a lot of stuff that happens, all in September, and a lot of emotions that come back for me each year. But I do my best to make them something that I can turn into a positive impact and not, a sad, dreary birthday month. But with that being said, my story starts before I was sick, just here in Greenville. If you know anything about Greenville, North Carolina, we're a big sports town, especially a big Little League baseball town. So back in my early ages of 6, 7, 8, all I wanted to do was be an athlete, baseball guy, basketball guy. I was lucky enough to have a great grandfather who was a coach in baseball and basketball. So he kind of gave me a head start. I knew from a young age that's what I was interested in. I wanted to be a high school athlete, college athlete, take it as far as I could. I think that's, most kids' dream, but you got to dream big to get somewhere, right?
That's right.
And so that's what I did, worked hard, played all up until I was 9 years old, coached under my grandfather. He passed away when I was 9, also in September. So adds to it. Just a very heavy month, lots of emotions in September. Yeah. But that's kind of, where it gets started. I played kind of baseball from 9 to 12 in his honor. Essentially, that was kind of what let me still feel close to him was baseball, basketball, and fishing, which are three things that I still all love to this day. But that's where my passion for sports really came from, right? Was just I want to live up to what he was as a coach, as a grandfather, and see if I can follow in his footsteps because he got to play at ECU. So he was a collegiate athlete. So that was the plan. Grinded, made all-stars my 9 through 12-year-old years, won 3 state championships, was very successful, felt like I was on the right path. Me and a lot of my buddies played travel ball, played, extra, sports, extra teams outside, and kind of were on that path, if you can be on the path, at 12 or 13 to go on to the next level, right? And that was a really cool experience. The state championship wins were really cool. Got lots of cool swag, this and that. And so my 12-year-old year was the big deal because if you win your 12-year-old year and then you win the Southeast Regional, you go to the Little League World Series, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is insane. So we won the state championship, went to the Southeast Regional, played against all the really good teams in the Southeast. So it was like us representing North Carolina and then other teams for Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, things like that. So we lost in that tournament, but it was still just a great experience. The team that beat us ended up going to the World Series, which is still pretty cool.
Nice,
yeah, so still a pretty cool experience. But around this time is when I started noticing that I was having pain in my left leg, right? So it was just kind of behind my knee, pretty normal stuff for like 11 to 14-year-old boys to have growing pains, So I didn't think anything too crazy about it. As I got back from the tournament, school was starting, basketball season was starting, it was still kind of bothering me. So
This is when you were 12?
This is when, 12,
Okay.
about to turn 13, and this September.
Okay.
So I was having basketball practice at school, this and that. Just wasn't feeling right. I was just having a lot of pain. It was just really behind my knee, just kind of felt like some pressure. Wasn't really sure what it could be. So my mom took me to the doctor like that week after I told her. And they told me that it was most likely just growing pains. They were like, big guy, you're tall for your age, strong for your age. If it persists, come back in a couple weeks, but it's probably just growing pains, right? That following week, Hurricane Irene came. Yeah, Hurricane Irene. Yeah, and me and my mom were going to go look at the wreckage of the hurricane. So it's like the eye of the storm, nothing really going on. I jog in my yard to get in my mom's car to go look at the hurricane wreckage, and then I'm all of a sudden on the ground. Very confused, right? I slipped, it's wet, it's a hurricane, right? Try to stand up, can't stand up, look down. My leg is essentially bent at the angle of an elbow. So my femur had snapped in half from jogging, which is not normal for my listeners at home. The femur is the strongest bone in your body. So if you simply take a step, jog, walk, and your femur breaks, medical attention immediately.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but
wow.
So that was strange, right? Looked down, wasn't super painful, which was also strange. I just yelled for my mom. I'm like, hey, something's wrong. Obviously, she's spazzing out. If you know my mom, she's a little anxious. This did not help.
I was going to say snapped femur.
Anybody would be anxious about a snapped femur, right?
I have my grandma used to always, when we would come in the house with like anything, like a scratch, a fish hook. We fished a lot, at her house. So we'd have a fish hook stuck somewhere. And she would say, oh God, my knees. Oh God, my knees. And she would always sit down. And literally, as you're describing this, I'm like, oh, my knees. Oh my God, oh God, my knees. Okay. So anyway, yes, I would have freaked out too.
Yeah,
okay.
So she was just like, your knees just out of place, something. Let's just get you in the car. And I was like, respectfully call the ambulance.
Yes.
Like I'm not getting up, not getting in the car, whatever it is, respectfully call the ambulance, right? So ambulance comes and gets me. They're just like, oh, yeah, not normal. They take me to the hospital here in Greenville. They kind of do the splinting, the biopsy, kind of get my stuff just back into place the way it should be. And then they're just kind of like, we're going to send you to Duke. They didn't even really want to mess with what I had going on. They just, the severity of the bone break, the situation that it happened, they were like, we're just going to send you right to the specialist at Duke and see what you need to have done. So
this was a long time ago. So it was PCMH back then, and it wasn't as big as it is now.
So we've had a big upgrade in our hospital here. But at the time, they were just like,
Yeah.
we're going to send you bigger and better.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah, it was immediately like broken leg, hospital ride to the Greenville hospital, and then a hospital ride like to Duke, all within like a few hours. So just like a very like, snap situation, like leg snap, life snap, everything's just kind of just on a turn real quick. So fast forward a little bit, a couple of days, they go in, surgery, they put my leg back together, put a metal plate on it just to kind of hold it together, do some testing, and the results come back as osteosarcoma, which is a rare bone cancer that normally happens in kids from like 10 to 16, and frequently when you're having like a growth spurt, because it's when your quickly growing cells that are happening like in your growth spurt mutate and then attack a bone, something in your body. So mine happened to be on my femur, or inside my femur, which is why it was so unstable that it could break without any pain. Essentially, the tumor had grown from the inside of my femur out to where there was like little micro cracks and like porous holes in my femur. So when I just stepped on it the right way, it just gave.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was, I guess a blessing in disguise that it happened when it happened. It sucks that it wasn't found earlier, but blessed that it was found when it was found and everything could move forward in the right way.
Right.
So, you hear the word cancer, very, very heavy, right? You can see, just color flushed out of like my mom, my grandma held it together more than my mom did, but was still just like, very, very heavy. And I was just kind of like, so what do I do, right? When can I play baseball again? When can I like walk, run, do whatever again? And I tell people a lot of the time, like, I look back on it and a lot of the time it's heavier now, because I don't think that children going through childhood cancer really understand what's going on.
Totally.
Right. Which is why it's a lot easier to have that positive attitude, right? Like you see the smiles and the thumbs up and this and that from a lot of kids that are going through it, but they don't really have the knowledge or the weight of real life on them yet to understand like how heavy what they're going through is. Totally. So I think it was almost a blessing too to go through it while I was like young and naive and could just be like, like my doctors and God got me, right? Like it was nice in a sense that I didn't really have the thought process of like, why me until later, right? It wasn't initially right there like, oh, this sucks. Right. My life just got so much worse. It was just still that very young, optimistic mindset of, okay, like this sucks, but what next? How long? When can I do what I want to do, right? So that was a blessing, but looking back now, I think it somewhat affects me more like in these years now, looking back and like kind of hugging my younger self, right? Like, damn, brother, why were you so strong, right? Like I don't even think you felt everything you should have felt back then.
Right.
So
the permanence is really hard to understand of any way that could go, whether it could be, death, whether it could be, having a prosthetic or having something completely like just a part of your life just completely changed. It's developmentally appropriate response to be, positive and in that space. So, wow. But
yeah, so it was just like, all right, let's hit the ground running, do what we can. My doctors were very honest. Like, it'll be a long recovery. You may never, walk, run the same way. You may never play sports. We just kind of have to see the severity, what ends up being the case. Because it was a situation of, depending on how much of my leg would be removed when I had my limb salvage surgery, it would be decided upon if I had a full amputation or an internal prosthesis. So just depending on like how much upper femur and hip I would have left to connect a prosthetic to, essentially. So I was blessed to be able to have a limb salvage surgery, which is a fully internal prosthesis, which is cool. My femur is fully prosthetic and my knee is replaced. It was a long process. I had a total of, 9 surgeries just for different things, different biopsies. I had a port put in for my chemotherapy, port taken out, different things like that. They had to put a plate on my leg multiple times to just keep it together while I was going through the chemotherapy, because while you're in chemotherapy, nothing heals, right? Because it's just constantly killing your cells over and over again. So my bone was essentially broken like the whole time, which was real shitty.
Yeah.
Like you just had to,
oh my God.
It had to have a plate or an immobilizer or whatever, because it just really couldn't heal.
Right.
So it was,
what was your pain levels like during this time?
So they were it was substantial. Like I was on a morphine pump in the hospital, like post surgery, and the incision itself was long and painful. It took 86 staples to close up because it's from my hip all the way down, wrapped underneath my knee. But the worst part was probably the nerve pain because the way my bone broke, it broke and kind of slid along itself. So then when they put in the prosthesis, they essentially had to lengthen my nerves to match the length of my prosthesis, which was longer than how my leg had been sitting. So my nerves were just like pulled really tight for like a couple of months, and I had to be on nerve relaxers or things like that because my leg would just randomly twitch because the nerves would be so tight, and then it would just like excruciating pain from moving it, because moving it was painful because of like the stitches, the staples, anything. So I would try to stay still, but then the nerve pain would just like make it twitch. And then, so it was a long process that I couldn't really work on a lot of recovery until down the road. Because like I was saying, there was no healing to my bone. So it was like a year of just kind of doing the chemotherapy, having the surgeries, doing all the stuff. And then when I finally was in remission for long enough to my bone, or for my bone to begin to heal, that's when I could start the physical therapy process. So that was hard in itself. And that's, I think, why I'm so passionate now about fitness, is because I had really good physical therapists, and they were very patient. They were very kind. I think it made it easier for me knowing that they weren't going to push me harder than I really could go at the time, right? Because that's something I really try to be careful with, like when I'm working with people. Because if you haven't been through like a severe injury, surgery, recovery, PT, like you don't really understand the pain that comes from like nerve tingling, or like if you haven't put that foot down in months, or you haven't, bared weight in however long, like you don't understand how that feels unless you've gone through it, right? So just always validating people's feelings, pain, things like that's very important to me, because I know how important that was for me at the time, right? So
that's amazing.
And like just a lot of different inpatient stuff. Then it went to outpatient, and then it was pool therapy, and then it was just a lot of just walking on my own, take labs, do whatever I can. It was a wheelchair for a long time, and then a walker, and then crutches, and then a cane. So it was just,
and this is all while you're 13 years old and going to school still. And
so I had to take a full year off of school. So my initial break, I took the full year off of school for all the surgeries, the chemotherapy. So that was also pretty tough to, fall back a year from all my classmates, my teammates, everybody. So even when I got back into school, all my friends were a year ahead of me, things like that. And it's very isolating, because the first 3 weeks, a month, everybody's going to come visit, oh, Shemar's sick. Oh, we got to go see him. We got to go visit. He's up at Duke. But then everybody has their own life, right? So I didn't have everybody still coming to visit all the time, which they couldn't. But it doesn't make you feel any less isolating, right? Like I still had very good friends who I appreciate a lot that were very consistent. But it's a very isolating type of feeling, right? And then some of that still lingers, right? Like there's times that I just still like feel behind in life, right? Like I missed a year of school, or like developmentally, I feel like I was behind, because even after I was well, then it still took me a year of just like walking better. And then like from like 14 to 15, it's just like walking without a limp, and like trying to like just get back on the field, back to just being not, just not a bother, right? That was a big thing for me. Like, okay, now I can get back to playing, to working, to doing whatever, but like I just didn't want to be a bother, So it was a rough transition, right? Which is another reason I try to be very like validating and careful of people's feelings, because it's easy when people don't understand to say stuff that's really hurtful or insensitive that they don't even process.
Absolutely. I know you and I have had a couple conversations about things that people said during that time, and coaches and different things like that. And I think it is so important for somebody listening to this, especially if they're in a role of some kind, but if you just know somebody, this type of thing touches so many people. And just to be able to take this information and be able to like, if you take nothing else from this, is like, hey, if you know somebody who's going through something, or experiencing an injury or whatever it is, especially if you're in like the fitness profession like we are, that validation piece is huge. It's so huge because you just never know at the end of the day. And I think your story is full of, you know, what we always like to say, which is like two things can be true at the same time. Like almost every single thing that you've been talking about is like, you know, like two things can be true at the same time. You can feel isolated, but also have the best friends who are like looking after you. And you can feel like, thank God I'm going to be able to like come out on the other side of this, but also what the fuck? And this is awful. And then even now, like you can feel like I'm so blessed for being here and being able to tell my story, but also there's a lot that goes along with that.
100%.
So, okay. So that was year 13. So then
so like
into
13
14.
to 14.
Okay. Okay. And
so then, so just kind of like coming back to trying to be back into school. So I was at St. Peter's at the time, which was cool. So I went back to school in my wheelchair at first. So I would get out of class a little bit early and wheel to my next class, you know, with my book bag in my lap, and it was cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And then moved up to crutches and just kind of kept going along. And as things got better, I just kind of tried to shift my mindset, right? Like it just became a lot more about gratitude and doing everything that I could, because I was outside shooting basketball in my wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as I could even stand up and shoot, even if I wasn't running up and down the court, I was in the gym, I was hooping, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, the level I could hoop, I was hooping,
That's
y'all.
right.
Like I was hooping.
Love that.
And that was cool, but I think it really just helped me put the mindset on things that you have to do what brings you joy and what brings you health, right? Because whether I wanted to or not, I just wasn't going to be the best anymore, right? I wasn't going to have a 40-inch vertical. I wasn't going to run the fastest 40. I wasn't going to have the fastest rotation in my hips because I don't have a quad anymore, right? My surgery resulted in a full amputation of what was inside of my leg. So I have a prosthetic femur, false knee or knee replacement, and then my quad is completely removed out of my left leg. So there's really no muscle in the upper part of my leg, which means any quad function extension I don't really have. Like I can kick my right leg straight out, my left leg barely lifts, right?
Yeah.
Bearing weight on a bent leg, can't do it. If I bend down on my right leg, that's fine. If my left leg bends, it cannot bear weight. So it's essentially a stilt. You know, it looks pretty normal. It's fine. It works. I'm very grateful for it, but there's a lot that it can't do, right? So just learning to be grateful and use what you have for what you can. And I think that's what made me first want to just become like the best teammate possible, because it was like, if I can't provide, you know, as much value as I want to on the field or on the court, I'm gonna be the best guy in the dugout, right? The best guy at practice, the best guy wherever I can be. So that's where I think the mindset of helping other people improve, even if you know, can't improve where you want to, right? Or using your story, your lived experience to help other people move forward in a way that you might not be able to, is still very fulfilling.
Absolutely.
So that kind of became my mission, to just become as well knowledge as I could, to become as kind as I could, as supportive as I could. So I was almost, you know, a secondary coach to my teammates and just a really good support factor, right? And I would use, not like a guilt thing ever, but just like a, hey, let's be appreciative, big dog. Like if I'm standing on the fence cheering, you can fucking stand on the fence and cheer. Right.
It's perspective.
It's
your constant perspective.
Yeah. So just like, let's cheer for our teammates, right? If I'm cheering, you can cheer. If I'm not sitting on my ass, you're not sitting on your ass. That's just the way it's going to be, right? So it became a transition of how much value can I still provide, right, from this new position I'm in. And I think that's where the training, and I also made a transition into doing like youth ministry when I was in high school and college. So I guess looked for a way to take my story, and instead of making it a problem or a reason that I didn't achieve, or just letting it define me as somebody who was going to be something but then didn't become something because of a circumstance, I used my circumstance to become something I wouldn't have otherwise. So snaps and shit.
Just BRB crying over here. Okay.
But yeah, so just a long process, but it was worthwhile, right? So, you know, came back, high school was pretty pretty normal. Like I could walk right still to this day, can't run and jump like I want to. So high school was no different, but I got to be on my baseball team for my high school. I knew the coach going into high school because he was really good friends with my grandfather, right? So that was a blessing as well to then have a coach who knew my grandfather, who was, you know, like one of his best friends. Yeah. So then he gave me the chance that I needed to come onto the team, have a good time, make the impact I needed to. I still got to play like freshman year, sophomore year, but as we, you know, got better, senior year, everyone improved. I just kind of understood that I was going to be a pitcher exclusively because I can't run the bases, play outfield like I need to. That's fine. So I'll pitch when I can. I'll help catch people up. I'll do bullpens. I'll provide coaching. I'll do whatever I can to provide as much value as I can. Because that's where I wanted to be, right? Was with all my boys playing baseball. I didn't want to quit the baseball team and work my last year of high school. Like I still wanted to get out of class early, right? Go to the games, chill with my guys, ride the bus.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't going to do that and be a nuisance, right? I wasn't going to do that and just go and be a cancer to the team and sit on the bench and pout. So I was doing everything I could to provide value and be the best teammate possible. And then I think that just transitioned because you see how much support means to people when you've not had support at times you needed it. You know, so then I just always wanted to be that support person for someone, not in a way that I would ever let them walk all over me or I would lie to them in a way to gas their head up. But it's like a nice over kind thing, right? Like that's a big thing I always try to speak on is being kind versus nice. Like, because being nice is just telling somebody what they want to hear, right? Being kind is telling somebody what they need to hear. So I try to be a very kind teammate. You come in and throw your helmet, hey, get your shit together, big dog. Right? That's what am I supposed to? Hey, it's okay, man. Sit down. Like that's the nice answer. Hey, let's be a better teammate. Let's not be so selfish. Let's get on the fence and let's cheer. Right? So I just kind of figured out how I can be kind, how I can be supportive, how I can help my teammates grow in a way that maybe they haven't had the opportunity to grow yet. Right? Because it was very clear as I got later into high school that my emotional maturity was much higher than people my age.
I was literally just going to say that.
Yeah, so
you always have given that off in general. And you are one of those people, I always joke that because we're both Enneagram 7s. I'm a little more of an 8 right now in my season of life, but 7s for sure. And a quality of 7s is people just kind of, you have that therapist vibe and people will just kind of flock to you. But do you ever feel like that's heavy, like that's hard? Do you ever feel burnt out from being the grateful guy, the positive guy, the guy that everybody comes to? Because you're very emotionally mature, and I would even venture to say that like that experience obviously teaches you about life faster than anybody needs to learn about life. But what a blessing too that like you get to like be that person because it takes, you know, I love sports. Don't get me wrong. I played sports my entire life. And there are so many lessons I learned from sports that I took into my adulthood. Right. But the something lessons, like that.
And the lessons you learn from having sports taken away, right? Which a lot of people get to learn at 20 or 25.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for a reason that's, you know, again, like most people get them taken away because we're getting older or we're, you know what I'm saying? Like you get like my shoulder injury, I'm feeling upset about that and like pissed off at life. But something like that is on another level. And it feels like you created, like you became this person that's really incredible for your teammates, for the people around you, all the things, and you still carried that forward. Do you ever feel like though, it's like it gets too heavy? Like, is this month a hard one that you kind of feel sometimes like, I don't want to be that anymore, or I want to
I mean, there's certain times that it's harder, or like this month in specific is fairly difficult just because there's a lot of emotions in general. And like I've had other hard Septembers in the past just because like the emotions come back. So like friendships or relationships sometimes are rockier in September, or like I'm not as focused in like where I want to be at work, or I don't have the same level of like energy just because I'm kind of processing a lot, or it's like that like trauma memory. Like it's almost like my body just like goes back into like I'm just anxious this month, you know? So I think it's just, I've had to learn better how to balance, because there is, you know, compassion fatigue, right? So I'm very empathetic and very compassionate, but over time, anyone will burn out of anything, right? And especially if people are just coming in like, my elbow hurts and like, I rolled my ankle a couple months ago and I haven't done shit for it and it still hurts and I just don't understand. And I'm just like, I did everything I could for a year and a half just to be in this situation. And my doctors are always like, holy, like every time I go to Duke, right, they're so impressed. They're like, you barely have a limp. Like that's great extension for not having a quad, like this and that. But like, that's because I did everything I was supposed to do and then some, and I'm still like not happy with it, right? So then to have people come in and be like, well, I haven't really been doing my ankle exercises, but like I just want it to be better. You know, there's certain times that I just have to be like, you kind of want to just like bark, but you just like, you bring it back in, you internalize it for a second, and then I've come to realize that my solitude is just very important to me. So I'm a very social person, a social butterfly. I love to go out. I love to be in the gym. I love to be, at the bar, at a festival, whatever it is. But there's just certain times that I need to be by myself to recharge. Because as somebody who is empathetic and compassionate, there are times where other people's emotions weigh more heavily on me than I would like. Because I feel like I can understand. Oh, like you feel alone, and then I understand how it feels for you to feel alone, and then I feel deeply for you. Or like you feel isolated because of this, or you feel like you're different because of this, and then I can feel deeply for people in a way that I think weighs on me. And I that was shout out to therapy. Gotta go to therapy and learn how to not people please and to pull yourself out of situations that are not your responsibility, and that it's not your responsibility to manage everyone's feelings and emotions, just how you react to what they say to you and whatnot, and to manage yourself. So that's something I'm still working on, right? But it's gotten easier, I think, because I just now have the skills. I think as I've gotten older, I've had a little bit less patience to be as compassionate, but with better coping skills, I have more access to empathy and compassion. Like I used to could just be empathetic with no coping skills because I was like, like I get it. And like now, like I still get it. Sometimes I have to remind myself that, hey, that probably is the worst thing that ever happened to them, right? And trauma is not an Olympics. Trauma is not a competition, which I think a lot of people will try to make it. And like, just because the worst thing that's happened to me is worse than the worst thing that's happened to you doesn't mean that there's not somebody else that has had it 5 times as bad as me. Like I knew people in the hospital that had the same cancer as me at the same time that didn't make it, that it spread to their chest, lungs, this and that, right? So like I was very lucky that I had it the one time in my femur, and then when I was 15, it made a small comeback in my lungs. So I just had a very small endoscopic surgery that there was no chemotherapy required. There was no extensive surgeries required. It was just a small incision to go in, get a small growth out, and then I've thankfully been in remission since. But there's just always something to be grateful for. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what you've been through and if it's worse than them, or if you think like no one's been through as much as me, right? Like there's an idea that everyone's life is difficult, complicated, and complex, right? And if you can put yourself in the shoes that everyone's life is just as hard, difficult, and complex as mine is, even if it's in different ways, at different degrees, at varying times, I think it's pretty easy to become a kind person. Because if you understand how hard life is and how much it fucks up your day for a random person to just be an asshole for no reason, why would you ever do that to somebody else? And I feel like it's really that simple of a thought to be kind, but sadly in the world right now, kindness is real difficult. But we're not going to get into that.
We are not. It's a whole other podcast episode that might have to be renamed something totally different. So, and this is something that, again, you and I talk about a lot just in the gym, because it, what you're saying about the trauma, and everybody has got their level of whatever. Sometimes it is really, really hard in the fitness industry to, especially as Rebel Fitness, we are having to train our staff on how to not coach like every other place coaches, which is, do the effing workouts, drink the water, do like whatever. Like it's like the hardcore.
What don't you like about yourself? Oh, that's true. Let's fix that.
Exactly. And it's like it's so rigid and it's so tough. because that's just how schools are cranking them out. And that's that's the school of thought, literally. And so us taking people, and that's why I think you are so good in this space, because your history has just created a person who can sit with a trainer or a staff member or a member, whoever, who is like in that mindset of like, no, just do it. Like, just do it. And it's like, hey, it seems simple to you. It seems easy to you because you have never experienced anything in life and it has been so sweet to you and all the things. But to somebody who it hasn't been, when you're approaching somebody who has been through the ringer, like I always joke about me. And it's like, I'm 45. I've been through some shit. And especially in the last like 5 years. And if somebody approaches me the wrong way when it comes to fitness and health, I will literally be like, fuck off. And so I think it's important to like have that perspective. And it's so nice at Rebel that we have somebody like you leading the squad and being able to say, hey, you've got to be able to like take yourself out of that a little bit. And you've got to be, one of your famous sayings in the gym is be the coach that somebody needs, not the coach that you want to be. And I think your life is like a testament to that. It's like, you've got to be able to meet people where they're at because you never know. Like we would never know with you, Shemar. The way he carries, if you know him, you know, he just carries himself. Now, we've known each other long enough now. And like Ruben and I, some of us who work closely in the gym and some of your clients who've worked out with you, that we'll be able to tell every once in a while. I'll be like, something's off. And that's the same with me. Like I walk in, you guys can tell something's off with Carissa. But the get it together is like, and the adjustment, like you were saying, when somebody comes in and throws the helmet, and then I literally can hear you saying that. But the readjustment is so quick and you would never know. And you're always so encouraging and motivating. And the attitude is always on point in the gym. So you would just never know that you've been through this. Like this story is such a testament to who you are today.
Well, I think the kindest people are really the people that have normally been through the most and then decided to use it to make other people's lives better, not worse. Right? Because if a lot of people that have been through shit like to then use that as an excuse to, you know, just put other people through shit, right? Like there's a lot of reasons that you can just be rude or be angry or be bitter. Like I lost, you know, my grandfather at a very young age. I never really had a father figure. Like I went through a lot of shit when I was young. Like the couple of things that really held me together and like gave me some like structure and happiness in my life were sports. And then those were kind of taken away when I needed them the most, right? So there's kind of, there's just a level of like, you kind of just have to learn how to deal sometimes, right? And a lot of people don't have to learn to deal until they're older. And I think that...
Or they just choose not to.
Or they just choose not to,
in general.
Right?
And
Ignorance
that's the
is bliss.
easier thing, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the easier thing is to just be pissed. And you just be angry and you just be bitter about this entire situation. That is the easier thing. Is it going to take years off your life and you're going to fuck up relationships and all the things? 100%. But it is, as a human being, it is easier to just choose anger. That's why most people do.
100%.
So it's incredible. Like it takes a lot of effort to be able to choose the path that you are choosing.
It is a lot. And there's days I wake up and like it's definitely harder, right? Like I wake up and fall into comparison like anybody else sometimes. Like I see, you know, these dudes on social media squatting 600 pounds. And I'm like, man, give me 2 quads. Or somebody dunking. I'm like, bro, two legs I'm banging on, bro. Like it doesn't matter, right? But like, can't go back and have 2 good legs, right? So who's the best person, best athlete, strongest man I can be with a femur replacement and knee replacement, right? And one thing that I kind of just like dawned on me recently is as of this birthday, I will have been prosthetic longer than real on my left side.
Wow.
Which I don't think most people ever get to experience. Like
what does that feel like? Like, can you describe what that feels like?
I think it's just like another one of those feelings that's like somewhat isolating, but also makes me feel special. Cause it's like the inverse. Like when do people get a hip replacement or knee replacement normally? Like maybe they're 50s, but normally like 60 or 70 and they live with it for 10 or 15 years. Like I'm already going on like 14 years with my current knee. I've had my femur redone once because I broke my femur again in college. Beautiful. I was a medical anomaly, actually. They've never seen my exact model of prosthesis break. And the way my prosthesis goes together is there's a male part of the prosthesis, essentially, that connects to the hip, that then the female part of the prosthesis is slid up onto to then like have the lower part of my leg connected. But the male part, like the peg, broke off in the female part when I was in college, when I was walking downstairs to do laundry. Yeah, so I had to get my prosthetic femur redone when I was 20. And it just broke right in my dorm room. Wow. And I had to, this is a funny story. Don't be upset I'm telling this story, Mom. So I broke my femur in my dorm room because I went to my buddy Dom's room. Shout out to my boy Dom. Brendan knows Dom. And I was stepping into his dorm. Bro, you want to go hoop? Let's go hoop. I feel kind of weird. He was like, sure. So I'm on my right leg in his room. I step out of his room onto my left leg and it just gives. Like it just gave. So I catch myself on my right leg, but I look and my left leg is just dangling. Like I can just tell it's not connected to anything.
Oh my gosh, Shemar. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I sit on the floor, whatever. It's terrible. One of my other friends is like holding my leg up for me because it would literally just like it wasn't connected. So it would just flop. And that was terrible anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So these people are like in the dorm, they're like, and then just walk the other way.
Oh my god.
So I got like my RA and like 3 or 4 of my good friends in the dorm like sitting with me. And my mom calls and she's just like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? And I'm just like, good. I'm studying with my friends right now, just hanging out in the dorm. And she was like, oh, okay. And then hung up, whatever. And then this was like the paramedic men are there. They're like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, it'll be a lot better if she just sees me at the hospital. Yeah. Because if she comes in here, it's not going to be good for anybody.
I am dead.
She calls again. Hey, everyone say hey to my mom. Hey, Miss Jordan. Whatever. Like, yeah, just at the dorm chilling, hanging out. And then we get on the way, and then I let her know so she can come meet me at the hospital. But like, that's kind of how independent that I was through the situation, right? Like, it was just a very much like, I can do this. I don't want to put stress on anybody else. I don't want to be a burden to anybody else. I don't want to be a burden to my classmates in the dorm, to my mom in here having a breakdown, because understandably so, if I saw my child with a broken femur in the dorm room, I'd probably have a breakdown. Yeah. But I just wanted to save everybody from that situation, right? So that was that's funny, but that was a re-break of my prosthetic femur.
Oh my gosh. I'm so tense, listening to this. And then, like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then a follow-up for that story is when I actually got to the hospital and they were going to, I think, take me back to Duke because they took me to the hospital here and then were going to take me to Duke. And there was a nurse, like, moving just my leg, right? There was, like, 2 big dudes moving me from the bed over. And then this one nurse just, like, holding my leg. And I was like, it is not connected, like, at all. Hold that shit straight, like straight. And she's like, okay. And they like move me. And I guess she just like forgets and lets go.
My gosh.
And my leg was just like, just like fell over and just looked like jelly or something. I just passed out. I was like, nope.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
No, my body just like was like, hell no. Cause it just like, you've seen Harry Potter, right? Like where they turn his arm into rubber. Like that's literally, it was just like,
so every time I had an epidural, that's what your legs do when you have an epidural. But I can't even fathom, like, it's things are so connected.
Yeah,
so it's
but like it was literally just like, dang.
Oh my God, I cannot even fathom.
That was hilarious. A little mini story from college.
I'm gonna have to take an Advil after this.
Yeah. So that was
episode.
Yeah, and I went and they were like, yeah, we have never seen like your model of prosthesis like break, especially in this way.
Wow.
So it's like, not only do I get to have a rare cancer, I also get to be a medical anomaly and being the first one to break my prosthesis. But
I love that outlook.
Yeah, but you just got to think about it as how many 14 to 20-year-olds are putting as much pressure on a prosthesis as possible.
Right.
So that's essentially how I look at it as, most people only want to have a prosthesis for 10, 15, 20 years. If I have to go through 3 or 4 to live my life the way I want to, that's what I would rather do.
Absolutely.
If I have to get a replacement for my replacement so I can still go on hikes and go on walks and ride my bike and do whatever it takes, I'd rather do that than sit in my house all day and keep the same one.
That's right. I agree. That's incredible.
Yeah, live your life. Don't be afraid of pain and don't be afraid of, the drawbacks of what can come from just pushing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to push the envelope. I would still, like, they told me to take up golf, you know, and like respectfully, that was probably the best decision, but I wasn't taking up golf at 12.
Yeah.
Like I had some hoop dreams that were not fulfilled. I had to run my rec league. I had to play some college intramurals. You know, I could not just take up golf and fishing at 12. That wasn't going to be the goal.
Well, and imagine, you know, because September right now is so emotional for you. And even if those things were all spread out, it would still be an emotional time because it's tied to grief. It's tied to trauma. It's tied to all of those things. But imagine if you had made the decision to just exist and be bitter and do the bare minimum and think everything is a barrier. Like, think of how much harder it would be than what you're dealing with now. Even though it's so hard now, I feel like it would be exponentially worse if you weren't moving forward and leaning into it and still making the most out of life.
That's why I say, like, fitness has given me, like, kind of everything. Like, my freedom, like, the ability to do everything that I need to do has come from fitness. Like, I built discipline through fitness from doing everything I could do while I was sick, even when I couldn't do what I wanted to. Like, I was still shooting basketball in my wheelchair. Like, if someone wanted to push me around, I was like, no. Like, I'm a wheel if I could get stronger in my arms, wheeling my damn self, like, I'm a wheel my damn self, right? If I can, like, I would wheel up the hill and then, like, roll down. Like, I would just be bored. I was just like, let's roll up the hill, right? Like, let's go and do some curls. And then as soon as I could, I was just lifting some weights, doing what I could, right? Be as strong as I can everywhere I can be strong. And that's why I'm so big on pushing people to do everything that they can do. And I've learned really well how to work around, you know, small, you know, pieces of the body. Like, for a long time, I had to pretty much not use the left leg. How much can I still do with everything else? So now if you come into the gym and you're like, well, I can't really use my right knee, great, we can still have a great workout. Like, my low back gives me issues. Phenomenal, we can still have a great workout. Like, I've really come to respect everybody's injuries and limitations, but not let them be the reason they can't do anything. Amen. You know, because there's something you can do.
Amen.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to people who, you know, are struggling to overcome barriers, whether they are physical, mental, emotional, trauma that you've experienced from something in the health and fitness world. But, you know, I think you are such a great example of being able to lean into that and overcome it and figure it out. And, you know, if you, like, the biggest shift that you, because obviously at Rebel, we talk a lot about, you know, if you want to have a vanity goal, that's fine. We're not ever going to give people shit about that. But the bigger goal is always quality of life and functional fitness. And this is why. At the end of the day, you don't know. I don't know. Tomorrow could be like that. You talked about that moment where your entire life changes. And it happens for hundreds of thousands, even millions of people across the world every single moment of every single day.
Absolutely.
And so nothing's promised. So getting that mindset now of, like, what health and fitness is for, not the vanity stuff. That could be something that comes, you know, with it. But, like, what it's actually for is so important, because then at the end, you know, again, if something does happen, then what is going to motivate you?
Right.
What's going to encourage you to do the right thing? So do you feel like, you know, I know that'll probably always be a process for you, but what does it look like now comparatively, like, with your relationship with health and fitness, your, you know, like, the evolution of that from being a kid all the way up to now, and how do you think that will continue to, like, evolve?
So, I mean, the biggest thing that's changed is just, like, I would say my respect and knowledge of movement in general. Like, from 13 to 17, it was just all about, like, how can I get strong and be normal, I think. You know, like, how can I get back to as close as normal as possible? And I think that shifted probably, when I was, like, 18, 19, to just, like, how can I actually be, like, the best version of myself? Because as I began to learn more about the body and just, like, how different things work and learn things about my body, like, I can't root to the floor as well on my left leg. So everything is just harder on my left side.
Right.
Like I can't get as good of a connection into the core on my left side, my left arm. Because for most people, like, you know, your dominant side is always going to be just way, way better connected. But if you have something going on your non-dominant side, it makes it feel even more hard to access, right? So for me, it was just learning to like not just try to get like my right leg as strong as possible, because increasing the difference in their strengths is just going to be a net negative, right? So if this one doesn't get any stronger and I just make this one freaking juiced up, that's just going to give me lower back pain and stuff like that. So changing my ideals from how strong, how big, how jacked can I be to just like how healthy, how functional can I be, how well can I move, you know, with a knee replacement in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Because for my body, like I've tried to bulk up and like 180, 185 pounds for me just felt heavy, right? And I think that's because my body already thinks it weighs that much. Because I've looked up how much a quad weighs. And if I add my quad to my body, I would weigh a lot more, right? But the rest of me is at the size it would be. So trying to put on weight, trying to gain 10 or 15 pounds when I already should have it, almost all feels like bad weight.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's like my body recognizes, right? Because I have to put on extra here, extra here, extra here, just because I really can't put it on in the leg. So I've learned that like, this is kind of like my genetic set point for right now. Like 165 to 172 feels healthy, feels really good. I don't have to do a ton to stay in this range besides do what I like to do, which is go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, right? Sometimes that's a strength training day. If I go in and I don't feel good, I'll make it a rehab day. If I go in, my lower back doesn't feel well, I'll do a stretching and sauna situation, right? So I'm in the gym 5 days a week, but listening to my body. Like you have to go in with the plan. But if the plan changes, that doesn't make you a failure or a loser, right? It makes you someone who is empathetic to themselves, someone who can listen to what their body is trying to tell them, which is our big thing at Rebel, right? Because why take an injury and make it twice as bad, 3 times as bad when you could just rest for a day and hit it hard when you actually can hit it, you know? So just learning the difference between quitting, resting, and moving slowly, because there's a process that, you know, you can't go as quickly as you want to go. There's a process that happens before the process that you even know that you want to be on. Like if you want to go to the gym and have these vanity goals, first of all, you have to show up to the gym, right? That's a process. Then you have to show up to the gym for long enough to learn how to move your body. Because I promise you, if you haven't gone to the gym, you don't engage your core well and you can't hinge your fucking hips. So it might take you 2 months in the gym to get those things down, right? So it's a process. And there's still times like in the past 3 or 4 years that I've just come to realize like, oh, this thing is really weak on me as my knowledge has gotten better. Like I can now look kind of more within myself and be like, oh, I really need to strengthen my adductor and my soleus on my left side because of the difference in my feet and my legs, they just aren't the same, right? So it's just having the appreciation for my body that I do what it needs in fitness, not that I do what I want to do in fitness and I make my body go through that.
God, I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's so important. And I think
that's like what we talk about with cardio. Like if you do something and your body hates it, don't do it, right? Like for me, squatting heavy, 1, doesn't make sense. 2, hurts my back. And 3, I can't do it straight because there's no muscle in my left leg. So why am I going to try to squat heavy?
Absolutely.
Like I deadlift what I need to. I do RDLs. I do some leg press and leg extensions. I work my legs in a way that's safe for me. Just because you can't barbell squat, this is for the big guys out there. If you can't barbell squat, that doesn't mean you're a bitch. If you can't deadlift 600 pounds, that doesn't mean you're a bitch, right? There's lots of reasons. There's lots of backstories. There's lots of situations. Like I go to a different gym besides the gym that we work at sometimes, and I'll see people looking at me for doing certain things, and I'm just like, Hey,
Question?
Do you know my story? Do you want to come ask me while I'm doing what I'm doing? Do I look at you for doing some dumb shit in the
Yeah.
gym? No.
Yeah.
So don't look over here and
Yeah.
question what I'm doing. Because I probably need to be doing this hip thrust with 35 pounds. I probably don't need all this extra. I probably need to be Smith squatting with this weight.
Yeah.
I don't need to do 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And why does it bother you? Right.
Yeah. And I think that you're touching on something too that a lot of people deal with. And, you know, but like the regular Joe Blow or Susie is going to be in a similar gym.
Yeah, they don't understand the law of specificity, y'all.
Well, and they're going to be in there trying to like work out, feeling like other people are potentially like looking at them. You don't know what you're doing, like whatever. And they're not dealing with everything that you're dealing with. Yeah. So, you know, that's the beauty again of a gym like Rebel is you come in, you work out with us, and we're going to make sure that you're taken care of. Nobody's going to be paying any attention to what you've got going on. We all know that everybody's dealing with their own stuff in there. So I think that that's a really good point too. Like somebody like you know what you're doing. You're not questioning it. You're very secure in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if, you know, the average Joe is going to go in there and be like, okay, that person, am I doing this wrong? They're looking at me. Why are they looking at me? Do I look stupid? And then not want to go back.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that we hear that is crazy. So, but it's real. And again, that's the gym trauma that we're talking about. That's really real for people too. So, so talk to me about what do you like going forward and like you moving through the rest of your life. What do you feel like? How are you going to like, what does this look like for Shemar in the next 20, 30, 40 years with health and fitness for you and what it's going to mean to you and how it's going to evolve?
I mean, I think it's just I'm going to take it as far as I can. And hopefully, you know, this podcast helps that go and hopefully become more of a nationwide voice, global voice of just putting forth, you know, really positive messaging around movement and exercise. Because I feel like since COVID, especially, kind of the fitness industry and fitness social media has taken a dark turn of just like, if you're not in the gym, grinding 6 days a week, early in the morning, like it's not good enough. Or, you know, if you're not eating this, doing this, like it's just a lot of like, hey, if you're not doing this, hey, what they're not telling you, hey, you know, just a ton of I have the answer and you don't, or you're not doing enough, right? So I think just a transition of helping people understand that just like you can eat intuitively, you can move intuitively. So like if you want to crawl around, if you want to jump, if you want to roll, like I'm somebody in the gym that'll just do a somersault, right? Like I'll do a muscle up on the bar and then flip over or hang upside down because it feels good.
That's true.
Like I like to be inverted, right? I just hang upside down in the Olympic rings and that people are like, huh? Like I look like a kid to people.
Our resident bat.
Yeah, I look like a kid to people. But if you move like a kid for as long as you can, you stay limber. How many kids do you see that can't drop their ass to grass and look at a bug on the ground?
Yes.
They can without thinking about it. That's because they do it all the time. And if you can't squat butt to grass and you don't have a prior existing injury or your anatomy isn't weird, you might just need to get your mobility up, right? A squat is supposed to be a resting position.
Yeah.
I can sit in a low squat with a knee replacement and no left quad. So if you work on things, you can do what you need to do functionally.
Yes.
I don't need to be that low with 500 pounds on me, right? So just helping people understand that being able to move in the degree that you want to move in the ways that you want to be able to move is much more important than the milestones or validation of other people around you.
Jeez. Amen.
It's just like the Labubu culture, right? Like Labubus have no monetary value, y'all, but then they tell you that the pink one with the sparkle teeth is rare and you're finna drop your whole whatever on it, right? If you don't give a fuck about Labubus don't matter. If you don't give a fuck about bench press or squatting 600 pounds, then you can go on walks and do functional fitness and do the rower and do dumbbells and leave, right? You don't have to fall into the hype. You don't have to fall into the trap. Do what makes you feel good. Do what moves you closer to being the person that you dream of being.
Hell yeah. The Labubu analogy. I did not see that coming, but that was brilliant.
That's it.
I love
False
it.
value applied to things that people look at like they're better than they are.
Yeah. Which is the entire health and fitness field. So, and that's why we're here, people. That's why we're here.
Oh, God.
Okay. Shemar, anything else? You want any last words?
Just make sure whether it's for your mental health, your emotional health, or your physical health that you're doing something with your body at least 3 or 4 times a week. If you're struggling with anxiety, with depression, with feeling isolated, with any of these things, come see us at Rebel and we can help you out moving your body, finding community, but just make sure that you're using physical activity as what it's meant to be, and that's medicine.
Amen. So thank you for this.
Yeah.
For being vulnerable and transparent and telling the story. I've heard most of this, but there are even parts of this that I had not heard before. So that y'all listening to this we're probably going to have to get some tissues out because that was really, really powerful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday
in
advance.
September 29th. Woo, Libra gang.
September is a damn good month. And again, it's 2 things can be true. So
100%.
It's a hard month. It's an emotional month, but it is a good as shit month. So, and that's how we're going to celebrate it. So, in that same vein, if you're watching, you can see we've got our little bow over here for our favorite local nonprofit is called Riley's Army, and they do amazing things for Childhood Awareness Month specifically, but all year, every year, all day, every day, they are supporting families and children who are being affected by childhood cancer. This is something that if it hasn't touched you in some way, it's a miracle at this point. Before meeting Shemar, I lost a cousin to bone cancer. And that was really hard on our family. It was just so hard to watch that.
Yeah, all within the time of like 2 or 3 years around my diagnosis, one of my best friend's mother was diagnosed, and then one of my best friend's younger brother was diagnosed. So we kind of all got to go through that together and provide support. And it was extremely hard, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, of course, but having at least a support system who somewhat can understand was, I think, a big blessing.
Normalize the process for you and be a support. Because like you said, if you're not going through it, you don't know. And we can still support. But if it hasn't touched you in some way, super blessed. I pray that it stays that way for you. But giving to nonprofits like Riley's Army is so important to help them continue to provide the support and the resources that these folks need. So in the show notes, there's going to be a link for you to purchase a bow or to donate. And we highly recommend that you do that, not just in the month of September, but if you're listening to this in any month of the year, go to that, donate, and put a little note in there that Real Talk with Rebel sent you. They are very important to us, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah, and do your research, y'all. Everybody knows that breast cancer awareness is October and everyone wears their pink, but like September is gold for childhood cancer awareness. There's all these different awareness months with different colors and different, resources that you can help out with. So go to local events, make donations, even just, wear your colors. If you learn the color for July, for October, for whatever it is, just do your part to add some awareness. And
Absolutely.
That's all we can ask,
Absolutely. And always look, we've always got some kind of event going on to support, whether it is the breast cancer, the childhood cancer, the trafficking, you name it. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, so we can be a North Star for you in that as well. So, all right. Thank you so much, Shemar. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will have more coming in those stories. Shemar puts a lot of that into every single episode, but we'll talk more specifics down the road with things also. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to let us know, and he can answer those for you. And as always, follow us on all the socials, but download the episodes, comment on the episodes, give us the stars, give us the feedback, all the things. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Later.
Really hurt some people's feelings, so if you a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now.